Greetings and blessings, St. Lucia family. Welcome to the Justice and Healing Judgment and the Heaping of Fire Coals on the Head of the Wicked. This is the Justice and Healing Forum, a conversation on restorative justice processes and the healing that is necessary in our human family. I am Ras Dr. Wayne Rose, the host of this program, and it's brought to you by Calabash TV, coming straight to you from St. Lucia. I hope you'll sit with us for the next hour or so as we have these conversations. Some important, interesting, even frustrating things are happening on the beautiful island of St. Lucia. And while we're not panicked by it, we're certainly concerned, because when it knocks on your door, when you see the levels of violence that is occurring in spaces that you don't anticipate, then you have to take pause. You have to interrogate really what is happening. You have to look on the thing. You have to examine it properly. So while I anticipate a robust conversation, I want for us to be thoughtful. I want for us to be expressive, and my producer will share the number for this program on screen, and I want you to join in. You take the moment to join in the conversations with us as we seek to address these issues affecting our beautiful, beautiful St. Lucia, Ianola, the place where the gods really love to be. So give thanks, family. Today is December the 5th as we enter into the final leg of the calendar year 2022. We do so with much thoughtfulness and reflections even first on the language, the words spoken to us by Kadamawe Haile Selassie I, the guide, the inspiration for the Rastafari movement of the 20th and 21st centuries. And I share this with you knowing that these words can make an impact on our lives if we but apply them to our current reality. These were words spoken on the subject of peace. As we see the world in turmoil, Haile Selassie I says, peace is the foundation for development. Family, in other words, if you don't have peace, no matter what you do with your tourist dollars, it don't matter how you try to promote things, people are not going to be interested in the space unless there is peace, the sense of security that peace gives, both in the space and in the mind and in the body. All right? Peace is a day-to-day problem, the product of a multitude of events and judgments. Peace is not an is. It is a becoming. Becoming. So it's a process constantly. There will be turmoil in your day-to-day activities. So you always have to be striving for peace. And in communities, it's a striving. In the challenges that we see, it's a striving. So we must always be oiling the lamp of peace, be putting in the ingredients, putting in the work that facilitates peace between man and their community and their families. Unless the desire for peace is expressed in terms of concrete achievements and thus gives a sense of assurance and serenity to humanity, mere pious hope constitutes only self-delusion. So we can't talk up peace. We can't wish it. There has to be concrete manifestations through work, diligent work, organized work, thought into action, words into deeds. That is how we get there. His Majesty says the essential prerequisite for economic and social contentment is world peace. And let me just break it down in the microcosm. It is individual peace, it is community peace, it is St. Lucian peace, peace within brothers and sisters. By the way, this is not to say that there is not an overwhelming amount of goodwill and fair play and peace between people in St. Lucia. My experience is that it's a very beautiful and peaceful and tranquil space. But anything that disturbs your tranquility, whether it is in the physical spaces or in the emotional spaces, it puts you in conflict. And therefore, right now, I can tell you, there is conflict in the mind and in the body and in the reality of our St. Lucian space. And that is what we're going to address. So, as His Majesty says, without peace and contentment, the weeds of discontent luxuriate, and threats to peace and safety will develop. The great nations and people of the world would do well to remember, and St. Lucia in particular, that in the modern age, even their own fates are not wholly in their hands. Therefore, peace demands the united efforts of all of us. We can't sit in our ivory towers and say, watch them and how them behave and all of this. Because ultimately, when there's discontentment, when there's conflict, it can knock on our individual doors. So we must be aware that all of us must stay proactive in this process of peace and goodwill. His Majesty says then, where there is no lack of goodwill, so where goodwill exists, all disputes, whether they're international, whether they're local, whether they're community, whether they're family, or whether they're internal, all disputes can be resolved. All people then, whatever their political persuasion, religious persuasion, social concept, social construct, can live together in peace. All of us then, my family, St. Lucia, based on what His Majesty said more than 5 decades ago, we can have peace. And it is our duty and responsibility then to ensure that we're engaged in the active formulas, the active work to engage peace. Those are the thoughts and the words I shared by Kadamawi Haile Selassie I. Let us embrace those thoughts, those words, and then let us seek to practice them, put them at work, enslave them, make them work for us, so that we can be the embodiment of peace and goodwill within our own lives, our communities, of course, and indeed in the beautiful St. Lucia space. That is the message of the moment in the Justice and Healing Forum. Give thanks for the words, sound, and power of Kadamawi Haile Selassie I. Yes, family. So as I said, this program is centered around conversations and instructions, things that we can do and share with each other as we pursue peace and goodwill. I anticipate, as part of this evening's conversation, to have my honorable brother, the Right Honorable Priest Kailash from the Mount Kailash Rejuvenation Center and Great Physician International to join I anticipate as soon as he does so that our honorable producer will make us aware. But until then, I'm going to just propose questions that we should interrogate, examine for ourselves, and answer in truth, so that we start the platform, we start the engagement of how we get to peace. As His Majesty says, it is attainable. The first question then that comes to mind: am I my brother's keeper, my sister's keeper? Am I looking out for myself at the highest level? That highest level means then Ubuntu. I am because you are. And I am very intentional about invoking Ubuntu, because we know that we established the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center in Castries, 37 Jeremy Street in Castries, St. Lucia. And it is not just a space that is established or was established. It's a set of principles that represents the family, the human family, and in a micro level, the St. Lucian family, not Rastafari alone, but the family. Remember, families are diverse. And we come into St. Lucia and we see the hue of the African genome all across St. Lucia. Beautiful people of all different textures, skin tone textures, and behaviors, but it was all beautiful. That is the Ubuntu. I am because you are, St. Lucia, and you certainly are because I am. And so in the context of Ubuntu, we must examine the things that we are doing, the things that comes in our mind that allows us to engage action. And in those actions, we must examine, is this good for myself and the Ubuntu principle, meaning my brothers and sisters? Am I doing the right thing for those people who are deserving of the goodness that I represent? Question and brethren, sister, we must ask ourselves these questions. We must be engaged in those thought patterns, and we must be honest about it. Honesty. What is my role? What is Ras Wayne's role in the upkeep of the family? Because all of us have a role. We know that. The man who is a jester, he knows his role. He gives jokes all the time. He laughs and talks and keep people smiling. That is his role, at least in the context of family. Yes, that might not pay his bills, so he might have a job and doing other things. But humor is part of our socialization, and so the man in the family who is a jester, he knows his role and he plays it. The thread that knits the family together, sometimes it's an individual or the parent structure of the family that keeps the family together. If the father and the mother are not playing their role, then something is wrong with the rest of the family, because it means the family will be dysfunctional. So every individual has to examine their role in this question of being their brother's keeper, meaning sustaining the family at a high level of discipline, a high level of productivity, a high level of morality, a high level of deliverables to ourselves and the extended communities that we serve. What is my role? I can tell you that as Ras Wayne, I've done multiple levels of preparation, preparing myself to play the roles that have been endowed on I through my own conscience, my own will, my own hard work. So when I came into St. Lucia, I came in willingly to play that role. And through the grace of the divine from within, and also the network of the divine that surrounds all of us, I was able to link with the Right Honorable Priest Kailash, Empress Ethiopia, Ras Bongo Vision, Ras Vision, multiple people, Brother Randall, multiple people across the St. Lucian space, and together, and Princess Clarissa, and together we engaged the Ubuntu space. So I started playing that role, and I'm proud of what we achieved, proud of the things we did over 13 months of due diligence, work. We created a safe space, a space where people could come and talk to us about emotional problems, social problems, economic problems, education and literacy issues, cultural issues, that we could elevate the consciousness of our people, moving them from a state of not knowing, at least on specific themes and topics, and we were able to enlighten ourselves also in the reciprocity of that process, but certainly to share what we brought through the multiple years of experience that we have in the field of history and culture and education. So I believe then that that is an important component in being my brother's keeper. being my family's keeper, being my community's keeper. And when we optimize these things, when we do it at the highest level, then those who receive what we give and implement those gifts in their lives, they themselves become producers of the next and the new, because they no longer are ignorant of the theme and topics that we share, because it's shared. And when it is important to their lives and their well-being, as culture is, as history is, as education must be, then they can apply those things. You know, His Majesty said an important thing, I think it was 1964 or 65. He said that an educated man or woman has no time for mischief. An educated man or woman has no time then for mischief, and by extension, the lack of productivity. And as I said that, who just appeared in my presence? My right honorable brother, the Right Honorable Priest Kailash Leons. My brother, welcome to the Justice and Healing Program. We're just talking about this issue of responsibility and being our brother's keeper and our individual role that must be played as we seek to elevate ourselves and hold ourselves accountable in the space of justice, restorative justice and healing. Welcome, Priest Kailash. How you doing, my brother?
One blessed man, give thanks for life and a mighty life giver.
Of course. I wish my people could see you. When you get a chance, if you can, please join us on camera, because we love seeing you. It is, many people say they talk to God, but very few people say they see God.
Well, he does, he does hardly see God. God does just, God does speak from the burning bush and them kind of thing.
Okay, well, give thanks. We hope that the good Lord will speak from a visible camera. But Priest Kailash, as I said, welcome and give thanks for the Eye's presence, give thanks for the Eye's work. And the theme that we started with, we talk about responsibility for ourselves and our communities, especially as we're challenged in the moment with issues of injustice, issues of local crime, issues of violence, and we see a perpetuating of these issues, an escalation, I say, in the space, especially in the St. Lucian space. And I want then, my brother, if you could talk to us, how are you doing? For instance, I know that tragedy is faced within the family, you losing a beloved brother. I know the family is pained by this, and while I know that there's no victimization in terms of how you view yourself, you know yourself, there's certainly pain, there's certainly a loss, and certainly I want to extend love and support to the Eye, but also just to have the Eye speak to how the family is doing and how the Eye see the next steps as we seek restorative justice, even for your brother and those others affected. Give thanks.
Yes, my Lord, we give thanks for life and a mighty life giver once more. And we know we give thanks for being on the Justice and Healing platform. Definitely, as it was a platform that was established specifically to deal with issues that that have emanated from the failures of society. And most times what people blame is like the youths, and they say, well, oh, the youths are this and the youths are bad, and all these different aspects of things. But it is not the loss of my blood brother that actually sprung me to action, as even the Justice and Healing Initiative, as the I is the Secretary General of it, is something that we actually spearheaded even before my own, I would say, blood loss. Because every young St. Lucian man that actually passes on through violence, right? And even those people that pass on through diabetes and high blood pressure and cancer, All these people, there is a loss that could have actually been prevented, as the same way with preventable diseases, or what they call communicable diseases or lifestyle diseases. The same way, when we have lifestyle deaths because of the way that people actually live their lives, they actually end up in that kind of a realms whereby they take other people's lives. And sometimes, you know, um, most of the times, everyone who actually is at the pulling the trigger, they are as much a victim as the person who is behind the nozzle, or the
Mm,
muzzle of the gun. So at the end of the day, it is a sickness, it's a disease that is actually ravaging our country, and it is putrefying, it stinks, it's disgusting, and then when it comes to our own personal loss as a family, it is something that, my father, he's taking it very hard,
mm,
because, he was very close to Olson, and it's not just a number, it's an individual, it's a person.
mm,
My sons, Prophet Anu and Honorable Prophet Sahu, they're taking it very hard also, because that's not the first nephew, uncle that they have lost.
mm,
They lost one uncle they were very close to, through disease and sickness, who died an untimely death through disease, not through violence, at the age of 24.
mm,
And now they have lost another uncle that they were very close to at the age of 38. So no loss is good. No loss at all is good. All of it is a loss, and it leaves a space of emptiness. And if it is, then that, the powers that be, because they're supposed to have a system to actually deal with crime and violence, and then the end of the line to deal with crime and violence is really the police, but crime and violence is actually dealt with by the police, but the other institutions of society supposed to be really there to actually prevent crime and violence, to prevent crime, to prevent death of the young people, like our schools, our churches, our youth groups, our other governmental institutions. These things, they are in place not to solve crime, but to actually prevent crime.
mm,
So whereas the police is basically the end of the line, like the fireman. So whoa, 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 the fireman come when the fire is blazing. So the same way the police actually comes, when it is that when it is that the crime is already done, to attempt to solve the crime, find the murderer wherever it is. And then there are other little things that the police could do when it comes to the whole realms of just being present. So when I critically analyze what happened, in my own realms, in my own vicinity, in my own private space, that came so close, that it actually reached my blood brother. Remember that about 2 months ago, they actually robbed the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center,
mm,
and then they stole the computers, they stole money, they stole the boombox, they violated the place. And that was a place that we were having live poetry events every Thursday nights, for the youths. And from that time we've kept nothing there at all. I mean, even just because of the level of violation that was in the place. And up to a day like today, no authority have actually contacted us and given us any update of what has happened there.
mm,
So that, and so then now, after that now, you have about 7 days afterwards, Empress Crystal was physically violated at Livity, whereby someone came off the streets and actually held the neck. A report was made, and up to now we've received no feedback from that. you know. And as you know that, um, um, even someone who used to work with us on the mountain actually stole something from a client, and then a report was made, pictures were sent, and all these different things. And up to now, we have these people that are still roaming the streets, you know. And I could say another thing happened again, but that one there was solved. So out of the three ones that happened, okay, at least they got. Well, even I have not even picked back up that possession that the person actually took. So if I, as an individual, go through these things to the point whereby someone who is actually related to me, my blood brother, is actually violently shot. And then um, it's about what about that happened about that was Thursday, so that is 8 days. Um, Friday 9, Saturday 10, Sunday 11, 12. And even while he was being held on the ground, and comforted by people, he actually told the people around who shot him. you know, and then up to a day like today, we're just waiting and see and giving the people the time to actually do whatever that they need to do. So at the end of the day, it is imperative that justice is served. So it is not like as if we live in a vigilante state. There are institutions of government that's supposed to actually step in and actually do whatever that they have to do, because the killer and the victim are both of them are products of society. So the person who actually pulled the trigger is someone who actually was came from somebody's testicles and came from somebody's womb. They grew up in the home. They went to a daycare or they don't care, and they went to a primary school. They went to a secondary school. They went to a church. They were part of a community. They actually had the influence of all the different aspects of society, right? So it is not like these people fell down from Mars or they came from Jupiter or Uranus. You know, the murderers are people who are actually products of our society, right? And we're supposed to begin to look at it like that. How is it that the end product of our society are youths who are putting selector clips behind their Glocks and pulling trigger and killing people up just indiscriminately, shooting up crowds of people, shooting up people, killing people, and then now, the other agencies of government that's supposed to be actually having that level of intercession, it's not doing that. So yes, oh, they blame the police, but the police is not the problem. The police is the ones that's the end of the rope. But what about all the different agencies, all the different people that's supposed to be acting even before it actually got to that state? What about the kind of garden teacher, right? What about the primary school teacher? What about the secondary school teacher? What about the pastors? What about the priests? What about the other people in society that had that direct influence on these people? So it is us as a society that have to actually look within ourselves, search ourselves, and see why is it that the byproduct of our society is monsters. 18-year-olds and 15-year-olds and 16-year-olds and 25-year-olds who just don't care, who just feel like they could just kill somebody for whatever reason that they want to kill them for. So for me, it is something that we have been saying. If you go on YouTube, probably you might see that I have a video probably all 7 years ago saying the same thing I'm saying now. And when governments after governments come into power, and that's the evil thing, that's a real evil thing. Government after governments come into power, all right? And as soon as as the governments come into power, right, is because the politicians now, all they want to do is just to stay in power. So they give contracts to people who the type of people that they give their contracts to, are not okay. So let's say you have a man that has about 5 excavators and 2 big dump trucks and several different things, right? And then there's a piece of work to be done. That the politicians that give contracts to the same known people that are gang leaders and all these different aspects, right? And when you give these type of people the same money, what you expected them to do with that kind of money? What you expected them to go and buy with their money, right? So the country, it's rampant with guns and ammunition, and from the top. So it's from the top down, not a bottom up thing. From the top, everybody have to be held accountable. And people have to be more responsible for their actions. People have to say, well, look, okay, well, there might be a man who have about 15 people employed, and then you're going to give somebody because they have power over 15 or 20 or 30 or 40 votes. You give them the contract just because you want to stay in power. When the persons now that have that have their mortgage, that have equipment, that have all different types of things to take care of, they debt just because of a party difference or a color difference. So all them different things within our society, these things need to be put aside. You cannot be governing right based upon yellow and red and green and if this one they vote for you or if this one didn't vote for you, so you give that one a contract and you give this one. Them type of things are evil things, and that is where when these things at this level of injustice, whereby one is not actually hired or employed or contracted because of capacity, but because of what you call alliance, right? Lions, the lion, right? So people need to stop politicking and politicking and start to actually deal with the country with love. And if it is that the police and them don't do their work and quickly when it comes to the solving and the resolution of crime, that means that we are going to develop what you call a vigilante society, whereby the people that could afford to pay for the justice will go and pay for the justice,
Mm.
right? Or pay for. Remember how it is in Jamaica? Remember Jamaica have dons, right? Because I from one of the worst ghettos in Jamaica, eh? You pass there, you grow up there, and then you move to all different places, eh? So you understand how it is down in them places. You have dons, eh? What the dons do? They protect their people, eh? And people, and then they pass on the street and they collect their money, right? So if it is then that the people in the society feel so threatened. Okay, they kill that person there. So you go and check this. Why they kill that person there? Then that person then you go and check this other person there to actually defend you. And then is the gang leaders and the dance are just like a politician. When you ask them to do something for you, you owe them for the rest of your life, right? So then now you have that same type of vigilante society whereby people move out of the authority sphere of the police because when they call the police, they don't get a response or they don't want to testify. Imagine people who witness crimes and then the people that do the crime threaten them and then nothing happens for that. You can imagine that? And people witness crimes and they're afraid to actually come out and testify, right? And then the people who are involved in the crimes, blatantly actually come in public and different places and threaten these people there. Them type of things there. I mean, how is it that how is it then that our judicial system gonna work? Right. So that is the state of affairs in Saint Lucia. So over the weekend, many rampant and shooting and indiscriminate opening fire on groups of people in Dennery, in Babuno, youths dying. So I think that it's a moment of introspection, right? Justice and healing. Every aspect of government have to begin to govern. Every aspect of society have to begin to socialize, right? Every aspect of our community have to begin to commune. We have to
Mm.
actually come together as a people and devise the ways forward whereby we could tap into our younger children and see how is it then that the product of our society will be rocket scientists, right? Would be farmers, right? Would be teachers, would be doctors, would be nanotechnologists, different aspects, But I mean, my brother, it is a very um, disgusting situation, and it is just disgusting. I won't say it's sad, it's just disgusting to just see the level of indifference people have to human life, And the thing about it is that somebody will get shot, So my brother got shot and he was on the ground for 45 minutes,
Wow.
45 minutes. And he still got to the hospital with a pulse. So you're talking about, okay, emergency services. So somebody gets shot, they're on the ground for 45 minutes. Because every life matters. Eh?
Of course.
And then after 45 minutes, they're still able to travel another 15, 20 minutes. And over an hour after they were shot, they get to the hospital, they still have a pulse. And then the other system of government, who is like the health institutions, right? And they still die, right? So we have to really critically analyze how we do things. We have to really analyze how we do things, and I have not spoken about it as I've spoken on your program,
Give thanks.
on any other platform, but even on my own personal platform, I have spoken about it like that. But being that we are on the justice and healing, I felt the need to actually express my level of disgust about the inadequacies of our society. And it is not pointing one finger, it is pointing all 10 fingers, on everyone within the society. So it is not that the youths are doing something, oh, your youths are nowadays. No, the youths are product of their mother and their father, the teachers, the pastors, the youth group coordinators. Even some time ago, there was this past president of the National Youth Council. I think he violated some children or something, and up now you end up about that. So when it is that you have all these things that has been happening, and then nothing comes out of it, what you expect to happen in society? So we need the institution of society to actually work, right? We need
Honorable,
the institutions of society to what?
to work.
Work.
And I wanted to hold that. Listen, I want to stay with us now, because what I'd like for us to do in the next segment is to talk about the who. Because, we can no longer curry favor and shadow things. Perhaps we need to call people out, invite them, perhaps even in the Justice and Healing Forum, where we can talk directly with them and strategize with them. So we're going to take a small break, my lord. Give us a
You
station
breaking?
break.
You
The
breaking?
station
Why
is
you
going to
breaking?
take a small break.
Into
And
session. All right, Hata love.
yes, blessed Lord, give thanks. Honorable.
My Lord, bless you.
Storms and hurricanes bring power outages. Luselect technical crews start repairs the moment it is safe to do so. Our first priority is restoring power to essential public services and critical infrastructure circuits. Please be patient. Know that Luselect will be working day and night to restore electricity island-wide. Be smart, stay safe.
Yes, greetings and welcome again to the Justice and Healing Forum on Calabash TV. I have with me the Right Honorable Priest Kailash Leonce from the Mount Kailash Rejuvenation Center and the Great Physician International. But before I resume the conversation with the Honorable, Mr. Producer, I think you have something there that tells a message to the people. Even give us about 30 to 45 seconds of it now, please.
Can liberate the people over hills and valleys too. Don't let them fool you. Don't believe for a minute that they are with you. Shall free the people over hills and valleys too. Don't let them fool you. Don't believe for a minute they don't like you. Why try to make I unhappy? Really, I don't know. If it was up to them, my friend, we would never see the sun or the snow. Through that mystical communication within, we keep on coming together. I love to see brothers and sisters looking out for one another. That's the way it should be, not contrary. Stop tearing down each other. Only Rasta free the people.
Only Rasta.
Over hills and valleys too.
Only Rasta.
Don't let them fool you. Don't believe 1 minute that they are with you.
Blessed love. Give thanks for that peace, Brother Randall. And when we say only Rasta can liberate the people, it's a set of principles pegged to goodness, pegged to decency, morality, consciousness, and the Ubuntu principles. That is what we're speaking of. And when we start with that, then we invite and re-invite the Right Honorable Priest Kalish to expand on the theme of restorative justice and the who. Who can I and I partner with as the people of goodness then in St. Lucia? Honorable Priest Kalish. I know, for instance, in August of 2021, right after the elections of the new government, right at Mount Kalish Rejuvenation Center, we met with the Minister of Justice and Equity and these kinds of things. His title is long, and he said some wonderful things. Since then, I've invited him multiple times. We have spoken a couple of times. I've not quite seen him in the flesh again. Perhaps he's extraordinarily busy.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with these people. Even his well, I mean, we are in his constituents in Mark.
Yeah.
You know, we've never seen him again. You know, and the when he came into power, that he had a beautiful energy. You know, I was rather impressed with all the beautiful words that the brother spoke. You know, but as they say, you know, like hot air, you know, we've never seen him again. You know, we've had several other activities when it comes to the whole aspect of justice and healing, even the whole Emancipation Day celebration. I know you sent letters to invite him, didn't you?
I called him personally too. And while, you know, we're holding ourselves and everyone accountable, we don't know all the circumstances, but this is an opportunity again to engage. And I'm saying this publicly, sending an open invitation for the minister, for the member of parliament, for the Mark Bexon community, and certainly the minister. He occupies a position of importance in the space of equity, social justice and equity. And we're saying, let us have not just a conversation, but because we have a plan, let us see how we can collaborate, because we need to collaborate in getting these things done for our community, our people. By the way, people say, I mean, our people, you don't come from Jamaica. I, Lucian. I come from St. Lucia. That's where I've been coming from recently. So let me tell you, family. So, what are you talking about? Let me tell you something. We're interested in the well-being of our people. And we didn't frame St. Lucia as the space for justice and healing simply because we wanted to occupy a space and just come in and fandangle and have some fun. We believe in what we're doing. We know what we're doing. We know that this is the moment for St. Lucia to rise up. And its leadership then, its civic leaders need to engage in that space. You might have all different kind of challenges with how Ras Wayne look, but I'll tell you something. The substance of our work speaks for itself. You saw what we did in August. For 13 months prior to August, we did a lot of preparation and work, and we brought people together from multiple countries and spaces, students from multiple universities. We said, this is where we need to be doing the work, not to show and tell, but practical work. And we're still calling on the family, even in this moment of loss, in this moment of challenge. And I, Honorable Priest, I love how you frame this, because you talk about the multiple challenges, including health challenges that are parts of the injustices. Therefore, expand on all of that for me a bit, my brother, and let us talk strategy as to how we engage these local leaders. It's important. Church leaders, politicians, we have to work with them, because the people buy into politics and they buy into religion. And so we have no problem working with politics and politicians and religious leaders. We need all together. Honorable Priest.
Yes, my Lord, give thanks. Well, I think you know, the people govern, you know, I mean, they vote the people in, and then they're supposed to understand that they're supposed, see, the thing about how it happens here is that people get into power, and after they get into power, that's it, you know. So all the beautiful promises that they have, you know, and all them things there just go down the drain, and people don't actually hold these governmental officials, just hold them to task, you know. So if it is that what you promise is this, fulfill it. You know, if you say that you could do this, do it. You know, so when it is that people are being held to task, you know, I think that things would be in a better space, because many of these people, they get elected, right, and then afterwards they just go quiet, and that is how you help people to govern. So as you know that many times previously, as whenever we have anyone of substance come into the space, we invite them and we take them to the respective institution of government, whether if it's tourism, if it's sports, if it's the prime minister. We actually bring them to these people, so at least they could have dialogue. Because, I mean, as you say, we work ardently towards the upliftment of our country. I am born St. Lucian. I love my people, I love the country, and I don't politic. I do commentary on the institutions and how things supposed to be actually happening. But yet still, another man that'll be coming down on politicians, even like more recently. I've been avoiding that. I've been at least giving the new government, that was new, they're not new again, that time and that opportunity to actually do what they have to do. And what you are seeing is that things are getting out of hand. Things are really getting out of hand. So I think now is a time when now people, as you say, you have to call out people. People have to be called out and say, what is the plan? What are you doing? How can we work together? So if it is that we say, well, we can't do this and we can't do that, why is it that no one actually comes and they believe, like, as if that we are like the biggest elephant in the room? you know we are the biggest elephant. We are the one in the room that everybody that's come and they don't see. So when they come, they don't see prescale at all. They don't see what we've been doing over the years. They pretend like as if they don't see. And we are like, when they say the elephant in the room, why they say the elephant in the room? Because the elephant's so big, yet still nobody does see the elephant in the room. You understand? So it is not like as if there are not things that can be done. There are plenty of things that can be done. So instead of the governmental officials and the politicians, because it's not just the politicians, you have what you call the public servants. You have the people that work within the ministries of governments. It's not about just the minister of social justice and equity and whatever his portfolio is. It's about his permanent secretary. It's about that whole set of people that is there, that's supposed to be working with him to actually initiate, that's supposed to be brainstorming, that's supposed to be putting plans into effect to ensure that people are gainfully occupied. Right? So it's about the Minister of Agriculture and all the people that he have there with their PhDs and the masters and the degrees and all these different things, and find ways to use agriculture as a vehicle to keep people occupied, because an idle mind is the playground of the devil, right? So it's about the Minister of Sports, and all the permanent secretary and all these different people, all them public servants that's just there, just sitting down and just collecting money, and then they're not working to actually initiate what they have to initiate. Right? It's about the school teachers. I was discovered by a school teacher. I pre-scalash. I never knew I was bright. I never knew I had any kind of intelligence until a school teacher took me under his wings.
Beautiful.
It was a school teacher that made me know I was bright. Right? And it's not like as if I didn't grow up in a space whereby I got arrested already. I got arrested already. I got arrested. I get arrested for a spliff already. I get arrested because they say I was associated with people that rob bank. I get arrested already. You understand? But even if you get arrested and you go through the portals, because anything can happen to you just through association. So let's say you are a youth man, and then you're speaking to this set of people there, and you thinking them, boom, that other person do something, boom, you there, boom, you get caught up in the whole vibes. All right? But does it mean that you are intricately someone bad? No.
True.
Right? But because then the system just punish you or chastise you, or just that a level of injustice is done to you, whereby you are wrongfully accused, you are thrown into a no good institution called a jail, and then that's it. You spoil for the rest of your life. Right? But when I went through my experiences growing up as a young man, right, I always had my teacher who actually guided me. I had people like Mr. Wayne Ogis, as someone who youth and sports club. We had the same brother that we had the interview the last time, Dexter Persil, that we were playing volleyball and football and all these different aspects. There were plenty people that surrounds you in your society, in the community, that actually guides you. So even if there are some ill elements that you might actually get wrong, that might lead you in the wrong path, but still there are plenty of good elements that's there to actually uplift you. So where are all these things now? These things, they are no more. Before, when we grew up, right,
Mm.
you used to have lots of youth and sports clubs.
Mm.
A lot of youth and sports club. You had people like Mr. Henry, who is a fireman. He's retired now. And these people there were like probably like my age now in the community, right? And they were active with the younger people. Right now, the youths are left without any mentors. The youths are left without anyone checking for them, right? So it is not just to blame the youths when there is nothing in place for them, right? So they will actually pick up a gun. I heard this story, right, whereby two youths, right, went to shoot up someone for $800 easy.
Whoa.
And when they got to the space, they never act. Another story. That's reality. When they got to the space, right, they never got the person that they came and shoot. They saw two other people and just opened fire on them, just to say, well, they shoot somebody so they could actually get paid $800. That
Mm.
is what the life of someone is actually worth. $800, right? And some do it for less than that,
Sure.
right? And these same youths, right, they were arrested. You know how much they were bailed for?
Mm.
Nothing. They're out in the street already. So I'm telling you that when these things they happen within our society, what are the channels? What are the portals that we fit these people into to actually save them from all these different types of activities? Right? So, beloved, it is a very disgusting type of situation whereby some people just feel like they're not vulnerable, they are protected. But that's not how it's gonna be. It's gonna get very bad in the country,
Well,
because
I want to just stick a pin in the bud. Stick a pin in the bud right now and make some suggestions, because Honorable Priest Kailash, I am confident, as His Majesty was then and still remains now, in a victory, the victory of good over evil. But as you correctly said, we need to be collaborating with some people. So I want to re-emphasize that the Ubuntu Rastafari Cultural Center is in St. Lucia for the specific reason of engaging, not just conversation, but the literal work of redeeming. We're not saying that we're saving people, We're facilitating a process through cultural education, through agricultural education, through the application of ourselves on the soil and in the work. We wrote several proposals. We offered some of them to the government. We offered some to private industry. Yes, and foreign governments who are in St. Lucia. And we're saying we know what it takes to engage the young mind. We know what it takes to save some of these young people. For the record, as I was sharing with a brother earlier, it's 6 years that I worked in the New York State Department of Corrections, not as a prison warden, but as a cultural expert assisting young brothers and sisters in formulas, practicums that can help them move away from the notion of criminality. And so, St. Lucia, it is a beautiful opportunity for us to engage. And so, Honorable Priest Kailash, I'm saying that again as an invitation for those minds, those people in civic society and political society to re-invite the conversation, the dialogue, and then the actions that must be taken. Because, St. Lucia, forgive me for this, and Honorable Priest, I don't apologize for saying it, but I know people get sensitive about some of these things. I come out of Jamaica. I went through the 1970s and 80s and early 90s of Jamaica. I've seen it. Jamaica still is a beautiful island, but you don't want St. Lucia to get to where Jamaica was in the 80s and the early 90s. You don't need that, St. Lucia. Where in the late 70s, people were running away from Jamaica. People literally ran away from Jamaica in the late 1970s and ran away. Left businesses and big homes because it became so uncomfortable to live in the insecurity that was created by the society, as I correctly say, Honorable Priest. So while this is not a criticism and indictment on Jamaica, I'm inviting ones to move away from that by engaging the solutions that our experience have taught us. Honorable Priest.
Yeah, well, I mean, give thanks. I mean, it's not an indictment, it's the truth. You know, I mean, there's some heinous crimes being perpetrated in Jamaica, you know. I mean, things brutal, even like up in while I was there during the 21 days of Bingi, an elder priest was actually kidnapped, and up now they've not found him. You know, so plenty of different heinous things happen. And you know, an elder, 70 something year old Rasta sister, who was like one of the best teachers in Jamaica, you know, was actually killed. You know, I mean, right within the premises of the Congress. So plenty of different things do happen. You know, I must highlight, you know, the positives. You know, the positives that we've had. You know, when it comes to our collaboration with Mr. Ernest Hilaire and the Ministry of Tourism and the Permanent Secretary of Tourism, Miss Donalyn Vite. You know, I mean, they have been very forthcoming when it comes to the whole aspect. I remember just going to the Minister of Tourism and Miss Vite, when it comes to the whole aspect of the poetry slam, and to actually have the poetry slam, whereby bringing the youths together to actually just doing the poetry as an art, and bringing forth the positive message about St. Lucianness and about blackness, and they were very forthcoming, you know, and I give thanks for that. True. You know, I also give thanks also for the Prime Minister and also his government for the level of interest that they showed in the whole aspect of the Emancipation Day celebration in St. Lucia. And all these things, there are ways that things that have been done to actually help to sensitize people of their roots and their culture. You know, so these two things for sure, I could just highlight them and say, well, look, I mean, these things there, these are institutions of government that we have actually reached out to, and these people there responded, you know, and then we had, you know, a good 12 months of poetry slams. You know, we had a very wonderful time, the youths and everything. It was excellent, right? But then where do we go from there? Where is the level of continuity and sustainability, right? So as you were speaking of, with the whole aspect of the Soursop project, we spoke of the coconut project and all these different agricultural projects and the mentorship projects, right? All these things, they are things that needs to be instituted. So I give thanks for all those people who actually try, you know, but at the same time, you know, we could do a lot better, you know. And when it is that we keep on looking out of ourselves, because, you know, they bring all type of people, all type of consultants, all type of people into the country, you know. And okay, for instance, you know, we represent the wellness in St. Lucia, right? I mean, we were the first people to even use the term wellness in Antigua, 2004, 2005. We love life. That's what it stands for. Well, WELL, we LL, love life, right? So when it comes to the whole aspect of that, you know, the people who go out of the country and bring in a wellness, how they call them, a wellness, what they call them, a wellness, what they say, they bring a wellness, what they call that, not guru, but like a consultant. Yeah, right. When it is that right within the midst, they have a man that have been doing the wellness work, right, for over 15 years. You know, a decade and a half. You know, have been a decade and a half doing work on television, talking about diabetes, high blood pressure, paying my money. It's not like as if you're paying somebody else money or somebody sponsor. We never got any sponsorship to do any program except for Calabash TV now that is actually sponsoring that program. If you see us on HTS, we pay. If you see us on any other television station we went to, we actually paid to be on this television station. So for years, we actually paid to educate the St. Lucian populace on the wellness. And when the time comes to actually initiate and put St. Lucia on the wellness market, they would go and they'd hire somebody from overseas, right? So for the same thing, when it comes to the different aspects of positive change within society, you think that there are not people that are right here in St. Lucia that has the capacity to actually initiate good programs to rehabilitate our youths? Of course there are. Of course there are. But for some reason, our people always seem to actually believe that we do not have the capacity to take care of ourselves, and they need some type of foreigner to actually come and come in and see what they can do for us. That needs to actually stop. We as a people, definitely, what we need to do is to stand up as a people and be strong when it comes to exactly the things that we actually want to do as a people, right? And we know they are right. Okay, and as I glorify the good works of the Minister of Tourism and her and his permanent secretary, the Honorable Miss Vite, right? As we glorify her works, right? Also, we highlight also the inadequacies of the other people within society, right? All these other. My beautiful daughter just came. This I'm just blessing her up, and my sons, right? So all the different adequacies of society. So there are good people who are doing good works. And as you know, we just had a new commissioner of police, a female, you know, Mistress Peleus, you know, and she needs, and this is a sister I met, you know, when my passport was expired as a Rasta man, and she helped me work. She never judged me as a Rasta man, right? And I know that this is a sister with a great heart, right? So society have to work with the police force so it don't become like a force. It becomes also like an institution of rehabilitation, right? And empower them. You know, when you look at the type of computer that the intelligence department of the police force have. You see, I went there a time to, and in one old computer they have there, and they're supposed to be intelligence. Right, so what happened to civil society? Why don't they now work towards helping the police get some top of the line computer? You understand? When you go into the police and them departments, all mole, right? Moley, right? When we used to go in front of the HQ, right? Police headquarters, full of grass, there are no flowers. You know, so how is it that we expect to treat the people responsible for our security? And then they come from work at 11 o'clock in the night and they have to be by the road waiting for a bus, right? What kind of thing is that? All right, they're supposed to have special mortgages for the police. They're supposed to have special plans for them to get their vehicles, right? So if it is that they deliver the security of the country, all these things they must be put in place whereby they will not be tempted to actually get corrupt, right? So all the civil society, all the different segments of our communities have to come together. So at least we could remedy these problems. I don't come and just blame the police or blame this person or blame that person. If the police do something, we highlight it, right? Because the same way some of the police say, well, please, why, we're doing, you see, the police said that was the thing because of the impacts. You know, they're doing nothing again, right? You know, so it's not about because they say somebody bad, you just go and kill them. No, that's wrong, right? There are ways to actually take care of crime. You solve the crime, you prosecute, and then you go through the process, right? Or else you'll feel like as if you have the right to kill whoever you want to kill. You know, so definitely I give thanks for having me this evening, my beloved brother. You know that as you say, we did lose somebody in the family, but it has been also an anointing to us and actually invigorated us to actually work for the cause of equity and justice. Give thanks for having me.
Give thanks, Honorable, the Right Honorable Priest Kailash. You have blessed the Justice and Healing Fora on Calabash TV. We are most grateful, especially though for that wise mind, that sound judgment that they administer in their word, sound, and power. Give thanks, family, for being with us. We will do much more of this. And in fact, we promise to reach forward to the ministers, the civic society, and invite those who are willing to have those conversations with I on justice, on healing, and of course, on goodness. I am Ras Dr. Wayne Rose signing off for now. 7 days time, I'll see you. Be good, take responsibility, and do the right things. All is blessed, all is divine. Rastafari, love and honor. Give thanks.